Hello again, or if you have just joined us, welcome to Decanting Club. This week's wine is an Italian red from the Veneto region of northeastern Italy, centred around Venice itself. It's made from an unusual blend of Merlot and Corvina. Now the Corvina is a local boy. It's the grape best known to make the area's best known red, Valpolicella. Valpolicella is noted for its lightness and freshness, but it has two big brothers that are much more serious, Ripasso and Amarone. This wine's name, Passori, is an anagram of Ripasso, suggesting that that's the style it's aiming for. But the description on the back label and the alcohol level of 14% suggests that it's much more an Amarone style. So let's find out which. It's an amazing colour, a really deep, intense ruby. And when I swirl it, you can see, well, I can see, the tears, the legs very prominently on the side of the glass, which is indicative of high alcohol. Oh, lovely. That's a really deep and rich and alcoholic nose. Full of dried fruits, of prunes and figs. Also orange peel and sweet spice. This smells really Christmassy. There's a whiff of bay leaves too, and underneath that all sweet vanilla oak, although that's rather overpowered by the sweet fruit. Whoa, that's really full body, with big sweet black fruit flavours of dark cherries and blackberries. And they really are sweet too, because this wine is unusually off-dry. Underneath all that rich sweet fruit is a hint of bitterness. Now that is very much an Amarone characteristic. Amarone itself means great bitter. I'm oddly reminded of cough mixture, where the bitterness of the medicine is masked by the rich sweet fruit flavours on top. There's just enough acidity in this to keep things juicy, and there's loads of velvety tannins. But they're ripe and smooth enough that you taste them rather than feel them. They're bitter, but they're not drying. And these lead into a long, spicy, warming finish. Almost hot, you can taste the alcohol. But there's a great balance and tension on the finish between the tannins on the one side and the slight sweetness and acidity on the other. The one trying to dry it out and the other keeping it juicy and fresh. Lovely. This is very much Amarone on the cheap. If I were tasting this blind, I would guess that this at 15% alcohol, not the 14 it says on the label. And 15 is much more typical of Amarone. It's so strong, Amarone, and so concentrated because it's made from dried grapes. They're picked, they're taken back to the winery and then laid out on straw mats, traditionally, in temperature-controlled conditions for months, like 3 months. It's time-consuming and labour-intensive. You have to pick out any bunches that go bad. And it makes Amarone a very expensive wine to produce. This has been made by drying the grapes a different way, on the vine, in a technique called taglio del tralcio, where once they're as ripe as they can get, the fruit-bearing canes are cut. They don't fall because they're entwined around the wire trellis, holds them up. But no more water can come up from the roots. So the grapes dry in the sun and the wind, but they're still attached also to the leaves, which are trying to photosynthesize, sucking water up and now out of the grapes, concentrating them still further. So only after 15 days are these concentrated enough to be picked to make an Amarone style wine. I happen to know that this one was made by noted local winemaker Alessandro Botta of Casa Vinicola Botta, the region's biggest family-owned winery. I suspect the Botta name isn't on the label because the UK importer decided that Botta, stop sniggering at the back there, was not a name that would play well in English-speaking markets and commissioned a new label that didn't mention the B word. But at least we know who to raise a glass to. Bottoms up.